What's happening? What's happening? And happy Black History Month to y'all out here. You're tuned in to the Enveonline Podcast. You're rocking with your host, Son of a Jones, one half of this platform. And to my right,
and his partner, the Nat Turner of Black social media, Black journalism. I just want to say that. How about that? Azar Johnson.
It's gonna be one of them blickety black episodes, huh?
Yeah.
I see where we going with this.
Yeah.
Well, since we starting off like that, you know, it's Black History Month, and on our platform, we want to highlight a historical figure for Black History Month. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you guys to somebody who you should already know. And if you don't know, you can do your research. I'm going to give you some key points on him. Then I'm going to even introduce you to a book that he wrote to promote literacy during Black History Month. That historical figure that we're talking about is Dr. Carter G. Woodson. He's the whole reason why we even have Black History Month. He's called the godfather of Black history. So I'm going to run down some fun facts, some key points, just so you guys can get familiar with who he is. Born December 19th, 1875, he was a high school principal in the United States. He also was a supervisor in the Philippines. He was a member of the first Black professional fraternity. In 1915, he founded the Journal of Negro History. He founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. He was the dean of a college. He was the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Howard University. In 1912, he was the second Black person to receive a doctorate from Harvard. W.E.B. Du Bois was the first. In a press release in 1926, he announced that the second week of February would be Negro History Week, conceding the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. That's why he moved it to the second week. Last bullet point. Oh, actually not last bullet point, but bullet point number 9. In 1976, Negro History Week became Black History Month. So again, he's the reason why we even have a Black History Month. Woodson said, "We are going back to the beautiful history and it's going to inspire us to do great achievements." Now, in promoting Dr. Carter G. Woodson, I want to promote a literary work because I feel it's important that we have this independent Black media platform that we inspire others, whether they're young or whether they're our age, to get back into reading.
Right.
I know you put me on when I was younger. You told me you read magazines to get inspired. You got books.
Right.
I'm getting back into reading, so I just want to promote, especially for Black History Month. So the title of the book is The Miseducation of the Negro. And this is the paperback copy because I know if you have this in the hardcover, the cover looks different.
Yeah,
Smaller, has a different picture on it. So the thesis of this book written by Woodson is for African Americans in the 1930s, when the book was published, we're being culturally conditioned rather than taught in American schools. If you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. That's a hell of a bar. I'm just going to read one paragraph. So chapter 3 is called How We Drifted Away from the Truth by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. How then did the education of the Negro take such a trend? The people who maintained the schools for the education of certain Negroes before the Civil War were certainly sincere, and so were the missionary workers who went south to enlighten the freedmen after the results of the conflict had given the Negroes a new status. The earnest workers, however, had more enthusiasm than knowledge. They did not understand the task before them. This undertaking, too, was more of an effort towards social upliftment rather than education. Their aim was to transform the Negroes, not to develop them. The freedmen who were to be enlightened were given little thought. For the best friends of the race, ill-taught themselves followed their traditions, curricula of the times, which did not take the Negro into consideration, except to condemn and pity them. Ill book about the time of African Americans and how we were miseducated. Again, the historical figure for Black History Month is Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Hope we inspired you to pick up a book and learn something. That's our Black History segment. Let's move over to the next segment as we jump into the crux of Enveonline.
Yeah.
And we talk about hip hop, man. Something we love, something that gives us life, man. So on this platform, we are within the 50th year of hip hop, and we're celebrating it as a culture, as media. We gave flowers to historical people in our culture before, whether it was Nas or Busta Rhymes and so forth, Eric Sermon. Today, you told me you wanted to switch it up. You told me you wanted to show love and respect the DJ.
Yeah.
And not just any DJ. You group 3 DJs together, and you're probably going to talk about more. So for the 50th year of hip hop, as we salute the DJs, you wanted to talk about DJ Clue, K Slay, and what was the other one you named?
Doo-Wop.
DJ Doo-Wop.
Funkmaster Flex and Tony Touch.
Okay.
So first, let me start off by saying salute to the DJ. There's so many DJs I can name. I'm not going to do it all right now. There's probably going to be a part 2 to this. Can I address something though first before we go into the DJ thing?
Go ahead, it's all you.
From our last situation, we talked about Eric Sermon and the Def Squad. And I don't want to get anybody misconstrued about when I was saying there was one artist that I didn't address because it was really more about EPMD and the Hit Squad. A lot of people, I think, didn't understand what we were talking because it sounded like they were mixed, what we were doing. But the thing is that it wasn't just the Hit Squad. We still want Def Squad too. Let me say, I think we'll have a conversation about Def Squad later down the road. Def Squad with Little Jamal. When I said I was like, I don't know what he's doing right now. I meant to implement and say that it's not that I don't know what he's doing. He had an ill album. His first album with Fades Them All and Keep It Real and the whole song. If anybody knows that album, because I came out on Rowdy/Def Squad. I don't till this day know what happened with that because I said that before. I think that it's sad that got lost in the mix. Okay. Because I think out of all the Def Squad projects, when they were like kind of popping and they were coming, Redman didn't have a problem. Keith Murray kind of blazed. Hell, even Dave Hollis's album got a lot of big push. But when it came to Jamal, something didn't go right. I don't know what happened, but it didn't go to the level I think it should have went. And then after that, I don't know what happened. It's an interesting story. I would love to hear. Maybe we'll reach out to him. But I don't know. You know, he was definitely one of the artists. And let me say this about Jamal. Jamal was before, I'm not, no disrespect to Bow Wow on him, but when Jamal came out, when he was, you know, in his teenage years, we're not talking about, no disrespect to Criss Cross. I
was just about to say Criss Cross.
We're not talking about, Criss Cross was a cool group. They trendsetted styles. But Jamal had lyrical skills. And I mean, I'm talking about across the board. Like, no disrespect. I mean, when I said about Lil Uzi Vert being on Tony Touch, you would never hear Criss Cross on a doo-wop mixtape. Okay. You hear Jamal on a Clue mixtape, but you ain't gonna hear Criss Cross on a Clue mixtape.
He's from the New York area.
I think Jamal's from Philly.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. But Jamal is that he was that kid. He was that dude. Him and Mr. Malik. They in a group called Illegal. And like I said, for whatever reason, the group had hits. The group had music like Them and the Youngsters. So to kind of give a brief lesson, and I'm not going to go into a long spill, I just wanted to address that because I think Jamal was an ill artist that got lost somewhere. He got lost in the mix, and I don't know how that happened. I don't know who's responsible for it. I'm not going to call out no names because I don't know the story. So until that story's told, I'm not going to speak on it. I'm just telling you that when you look at Def Squad, he was part of that foundation that helped lead them to the next level because we were all listening to him. Go ahead.
Was Little Jamal akin to what Shaheem was to Wu-Tang?
Yes, very much.
He was on that same level?
Yes. Little Jamal. Jamal was ill. Go back to listen to Fades Them All and Keep It Real. Those are his 2 hit singles. If you go and listen to the whole mixtape, if you go listen to stuff on Keith Murray's, was it Keith Murray? I forgot where Jamal's been on Redman's album. He's been on Eric Sermon's compilation albums. Just listen to Jamal's content and work, and it'll tell you everything you need to know.
So I got one more question that just came to mind.
No, go ahead.
So when we talk about that era, Golden MCs from the 90s, you got more. Like we're not going to talk about Bow Wow on them, but just for this question, you brought up Little Jamal. I brought up Shaheem, but there's one more that had a gold album. I'm about to get. Now let me get it. Hempstead, Long Island, A+.
Oh, wow. Remember that?
So if I line up Little Jamal, Shaheem, and A+, as far as lyricism, how would you rate them?
You're gonna laugh about this. I would put Jamal 1.
Okay.
But I would put A+ 2, and I would put Shaheem 3, and that's not in a bad way.
They were all lyrical giants at that age.
Yeah, but I think A+. He was on Kedar Entertainment. Remember that?
Shout out to Kedar.
So we know the records that he's putting out is more friendly. But when me and you met him and we did the interview, which we still got to find the files on that. I don't know. I forgot what we did with that. But his lyrical content is way more deeper than what you hear on the radio.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So
so you got Little Jamal.
Yeah. A+.
Then Shaheem.
Yeah. Shaheem was right. I think Shaheem, somehow he crossed over. I don't know how he did it, but because he wasn't the most presentable commercial kid, but he was in movies, he was in TV shows. Like Shaheem was out there. Mm-hmm. So I never understood, like, not that I didn't understand, just salute to him because usually people in that position doing what he was doing, he was representing Wu-Tang, which was not commercial. So for him to do that and still be able to cross over, salute to that brother. I don't think he gets a lot of credibility for that. Like I said, that's another conversation for another day.
And before we exit out, just so nobody gets misconstrued in the comments, I'm not trying to start anything. We're just talking hip hop.
Yeah.
And we're just writing lyrical content from them young superstars back in the 90s. Yeah. And all three of them had a place in hip hop back then. Good look for bringing that up.
No, thanks. Yeah, we sometimes we don't really address things because we don't feel the need to. Because you could tell when somebody's not listening or they're just taking parts.
Comprehension is key.
Yeah, and we're being nice when you were using words. So I'm going to leave it at that. But that one, because Jamal was one of my favorite artists out of Def Squad. It was him and Murray. Everybody says Keith Murray. Him and Murray is my favorite artist out of Def Squad.
All right, so I want you to jump back into the group of DJs.
Okay.
And the question I'm going to pose to you, you named a few. You named Doo-Wop, DJ Scratch, Tony Touch, Funk Flex, and so forth. Out of all the DJs you named, what makes those group of DJs, why did you pick those group of DJs out while we're talking about the 50th anniversary of hip-hop?
I think they all trendsetted something, and they all brought their own unique style. And they didn't follow the trend. I'm not saying that the other, because I think DJ SNS just did Math Office podcast. I'm not saying that other DJs don't have their own style and their own trend and they didn't contribute to hip hop. But when you talk about,
can you bring up their names again, just because we got into a side conversation?
No. DJ Doo-Wop,
okay,
DJ Tony Touch, DJ Funk Master Flex, DJ Clue, and DJ K Slay.
Okay, cool.
Those are the 5 DJs that I wanted to shout out. I think first, let me start off with saying that the DJ is not forgotten, at least not with Enveonline, and we backed it up with our work. If you go check the catalog, you can see that's one. I think that somewhere along the line with all the downloading and whatever you want to call their music, how you do it now. I think they think that the DJ is irrelevant, which is BS. And the reason why I say I'm gonna start with Doo-Wop. There's other DJs that came before him, like Scott LaRock. Shouts out to him with Boogie Down Productions. There's other DJs like Marley Marr who had the Juice Crew, when we all know with Shan and Sham, Master Ace, Big Daddy Kane, Kool G Rap, DJ Polo. Somewhere along the line, the DJ used to be relevant. He used to be even within the background. I mean, think about it. Even if you didn't know the DJ's name, you saw him. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? DJ Scratch, we all know runs rocks on EPMD. What's DJ Terminator X with Public Enemy? Just think about the big groups. They all had an Illmatic DJ. But to say the reason why I bring up DJ Doo-Wop, and I'm going to start with him. Doo-Wop, to me, never got the credibility he should have. Doo-Wop, to me, was a DJ, and I want to say this, and I don't care what nobody says, and I'll leave this out here to contest all day. He's a DJ that was from the Bronx, right? Cool cat. I've never met DJ Doo-Wop. I've never, like, so we never crossed paths, at least not yet, but we will. At least I hope so. I'll speak out to your media rep, Doo-Wop. But he was on, when you put on his mixtape, it was an album. Now, I know people say, well, hey, a lot of DJs say it's an album. No. Hear what I'm saying. I got to get you this mixtapes because I'm giving away my age here. I'm kind of the kid that when you bought a mixtape, it was actually a tape.
A cassette tape.
And you had to, sometimes you just had DJ Doo-Wop 95 Live Part 1. You didn't know who was on the mixtape. You didn't know what was on the mixtape.
No track listing.
But all I had to see was Doo-Wop's name on that mixtape, and I knew what it was. I knew the quality of what was going to come out of it. So anyway, got the mixtape. His mixtapes would consisted normally of freestyles. His freestyle, he would freestyle on the mixtape, right?
Never knew that.
Open a mixtape with his own freestyle, and then behind him came the Bounce Squad, which was Unique, Snagglepuss, and I'm missing somebody else here, and Unique. Did I say Unique?
Mm-hmm.
I said Unique. Okay, Unique, Snagglepuss, and there was one more. It's not coming to my mind, but he had the Bounce Squad, right? And then they ran through what they ran through with their mixes and it just freestyling. Sounded better than a lot of the artists that were signed. Let's say that. DJ Doo-Wop sounded better than a lot of artists that were signed.
Wow.
And then he would take and he would play records. He would play hot records. He would play B-sides and he would play, I don't want to say the popular one. He would play the hit record. He would play the best records that's on somebody's album, but that wasn't going to be pushed for a single. So he was kind of like the ultimate, like when you went on his mixtape and you put his tape in your car, like everybody, like it was jamming. All the dudes had it. All the brothers had it. All the men had it. The women liked it too. He was also a versatile DJ. He was a real DJ. So, oh my God, I think it's Cool Out or Chill Out where he does the R&B, playing the R&B old school music. Like WAP, he was just that guy. I can't say it more than what I'm saying. And when he got out and did his mixtapes, and eventually he ended up getting a deal with Universal. I don't know what happened. I don't know what that situation occurred, but something went left. I don't know, because he had an album that he was coming with, and he had a few bangers, and it was sounding dope, and he had the mixtapes. I never forgot one of his last few mixtapes, and I never forgot this. And I think it was because the industry and the game was changing, and we'll get to that because there's a DJ that's involved in that. But what ended up happening with WAP was he said on one tape, he said, yo, y'all keep running and taking these hit singles of certain DJs because y'all think y'all gonna get more sales in your records played, not knowing that we the ones that's helping you. So we're the ones that's really pushing your artists. Meaning, in other words, and I can't speak for him, but when you're trying to push your and I'm gonna bring up his name in a minute, when you're trying to push a hit single towards a certain DJ, you think it's gonna take you over to the next level. What you forgot is
the streets.
The streets is back here, and they're waiting for you.
Talk, eh?
And they're like, "Yo, that's cute. That's on a I'm gonna say his name now, a Clue mixtape. What happened to the freestyle? We don't even hear you freestyle. We don't hear nothing else.
Especially back in that time.
And mind you,
bar work was important,
right? And mind you, we're hearing this single that Clue might have released before it got to the radio, but we ain't hearing nothing else. So with WAP, it was like, yo." WAP was kind of like, and I don't disrespect the K-Slay, but he was kind of, for what I knew, he was kind of doing what before Slay was, but there was no satellite radio. There was no DVDs and pushing and pro. There was no real YouTube popping like that. You just had to be who you was, and you had to be an Illmatic DJ. And if you wasn't an Illmatic DJ, they wasn't trying to hear you. So Doo-Wop didn't have that back then. He was kind of pushing and doing it. And I think what shocked me is that a lot of the industry didn't, even though they came running to him to help push their artists, and I'm pretty sure he did a lot of the grind where you could kind of tell. You could kind of tell. Like he had freestyles from Tretch and Biggie, and I think Junior Mafia was on there, and Keith Murray and Eric Sermon, and I mean everybody you could think of that was hot. Doo-Wop had them all. He had them all up on there. And I think what hurts me is that, this guy doesn't get the credibility that he should. Mm-hmm. Now, that goes to the other DJ that I know about, which is Tony Touch. He's a Spanish cat. Go ahead.
Let me get you one question before you transition to the other DJ.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about how ill he was, and we always say respect the DJ because they're in charge of breaking records.
Facts.
So when we talk about DJ Doo-Wop, what's a record that you know him being responsible for breaking a new artist?
Oh, That's a good question. Because you're asking me to go back. No disrespect, D. DJ would do wild. Who did he break, man? He broke a few records. I want to say Busta Rhymes records. He broke his records. Because I remember he was playing a lot of Busta Rhymes. Like, for his first album, he played, like, the B-side records.
Okay.
If I'm thinking this straight, I know he's going to kill me if he sees this kid. Like, yo, come on, you got to remember. And I'm like, he broke, I know A+, he had A+ records on before A+ records was popping. AZ, I know he pushed AZ a lot. Like, with that ran with Nas, he pushed his records a lot. And then he, his records alone were crazy. And then it comes to Bounce Squad.
Okay.
I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. Clue gets a lot of credibility because of what he did with Desert Storm. But doo-wop with the Bounce Squad, I mean, Desert Storm was DJs. And then they had the records. But it was because of, he had Fab and he had Joe Buttons on them.
Bundles,
okay,
man.
and the A-Team, right. But when I'm talking about before Clue, the Bounce Squad was it. There was nobody that could deal with the Bounce Squad. Let me just say, doo-wop and the Bounce Squad came running through, it was over. It was over. Unique was ill. Snagglepuss was ill. Snagglepuss was ill. I'm missing somebody out of this crew, man. And it's irritating me, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. We'll get back to that, like how we had to deal with Jamal today. Mm-hmm. But doo-wop and the Bounce Squad was they just never got I don't understand how they didn't get the recognition. I didn't get it. Because all your favorite artists was on his mixtapes. Go listen to you asked me what records. Let me tell you this. The two mixtapes that has trendsetted, that was the two mixtapes that changed the game that he had everybody in the streets pumping to was Doo-Wop 95 Live, Part 1 and Part 2. If you go listen to them, I think he's put it on his social media about going you got to email him to download because he'll send you a file to download the mixtapes from back then.
Okay.
95 Part 1 and Part 2 was dope. He was so ill. He had a mixtape with Flex called Face Off, and then he had another mixtape with the Diaz brothers with Tony Touch. There ain't too many DJs that was doing that, and I'm talking about before it was the end thing to do. Because I saw DJs trying it after. It wasn't the end thing to do. He was doing this before it was a trend. So hear what I'm saying? The Katt was so ill. He had the top #1 DJ doing a mixtape with him. And then he had one of the illest other street DJs named Tony Touch doing it with him. You get what I'm saying? I just don't think whoever dropped that situation with that album deal, they dropped the ball and they don't need to have a job. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to talk about taking food off nobody's plate, but how do you mess that up? Mm. It's like for real hip hop heads, it's like Holy Cost from RZA's from RZA's imprint, from Wu-Tang imprint. If you listen to him, he's Illmatic. Go listen to Bobby Digital. You hear him on Bobby Digital. I mean, doo-wop was like that. How do you drop that? How do you drop the ball on that? It's your responsibility to take that to the next level. So, like I said, doo-wop's an Illmatic DJ, but he was more than just a DJ. And his mixtapes were albums. People don't want to acknowledge it, but his mixtapes were albums. And I can test to anybody that back in that time and even now, he will light their ass up. If it's a mixtape competition, he'll light them up. If WAP came out right now, I don't know, and I'm with him, and I don't care who takes offense to this. With some of the garbage that's being released, that's probably why he ain't doing it right now. But I mean, he just don't want to babysit that mess. But WAP will light him up.
All right.
You don't want the work on lock.
So who's the next DJ we got to highlight?
One more thing, because you know why you don't want to do WAP? Because it might just not be he'll destroy your mixtape. He might destroy the artist that you might got. So
you say he was bringing it like that?
No disrespect, but I'm not gonna say no names. There's DJs. They all had their artists because we all know. I mean, if you look at K-Slade, he had Street Sweeper artists. Pat Poos's Lyrical Giant, Desert Storm. They had Buttons and Squatter, A-Team, and all that, right? Mm-hmm. But if you put WAP in there in that mix, you might be in trouble. He might tear your artist alive. You don't want that. So that's just what I'm going to tell you. And I can test that with anybody.
That's what's up. So who's the next DJ?
I want to shout out Funkmaster Flex. And I think that even though we are in an era where I think Flex, he has his discrepancies, he has his faults, vices, whatever you want to call it, his faults. Because I think at one point, he was kind of dropping the ball on East Coast artists. And let's be honest about that. What I will give Flex credibility for, Flex was that guy. He was on the radio, but he had the streets too. Flex was the guy that, to kind of, once again, given my age back in the era, when you had a tape cassette, you put the tape in, and when Flex came on the radio, you just press play and record. And then when the tape stops, you push it over and you record some more. That's just Flex. Every Fridays, I think he did Fridays and Saturday nights. But I was listening to Flex all day. I mean, you couldn't walk a block in New York and not hear Funkmaster Flex on the radio. You'd be walking down the street, like with all the vendors out, in the summertime, Funkmaster Flex be bumping. You be in the wintertime, you hear the cars passing by while you trying to get somewhere, Funkmaster Flex. You're hearing this stuff. You're on a bus or a train that's on a bus platform, and you hear Funkmaster Flex, all in the earphones. You hear it all the time. So my whole thing is with Flex, man. He was the DJ to me. He had it both ways. Like he could be on the radio, but he can be in the streets too. And he had all the streets. He was, to me, kind of the first DJ that was kind of taking the mixtapes. If you go look back on Loud Records, he was doing 60 minutes of funk. And he was taking he was making albums. He would play like old school records, but he would do the scratches and the mixes. And he made an album, but from a DJ's perspective. That's what I will give him credibility for. I mean, he did a lot of production. He knew how to put the records together. Flex was the one that brought that maybe before Clue, because everybody gives Clue that credibility. Clue just capitalized off it.
Can I ask him?
But Flex was the first one that did it. Yeah.
So we interviewed Cool DJ Red Alert like umpteen years ago, a while ago. And if you remember what Cool DJ Red Alert said, Funkmaster Flex was responsible for the mixtape.
Yeah. The mixtape.
That's the legendary Cool DJ Red Alert.
Yeah.
So that just adds on to your point. Go ahead.
Yeah, the 60 minutes of funk on Loud Records, and he broke a lot of records on that albums. So I Flex, even though I think he I don't know what's his whole thing with Jay-Z. I ain't gonna get into that either. But he broke a lot of records. He broke a lot of artists. He helped a lot of artists get on. He did a lot of things for a lot of New York artists. I think that's why sometimes when it's not really a criticism when they say Flex, you kind of turned your back on New York. It's more coming from a hurt. Like, you should be breaking records like everybody else in other regions because you've been doing it so long. You were around when Rockefeller started. You was around. I remember he would play records. He had even the remixes. Like I can't. I'm putting it into words, but I can't put into words like his contribution and his impact. And I don't think he gets the credibility. But for my reference for anybody, because I know you asked me questions like, who do you go to? 60 Minutes of Funk is the mixtapes on Loud Records. No disrespect to the Tunnel mixtape he made with Big Cap, because that was dope too. But go listen to 60 Minutes of Funk on the Loud Record projects. Like I think he did 2 or 3 different ones, all banging, all of them. Every one of them.
What would be his best one? Just from that.
I think it was 2. I think it was 60 Minutes of Funk Part 2.
And what was the record that you heard on there? Like, damn, Funk really broke this record.
Oh, man. That's a good question. He had an R&B record with Yvette Michelle. He was breaking a lot of her records. It was more mixtapes. He did a Missy Elliott Freestyle Over Triumph record. I remember that stuck out. Oh, God, man. I got to go back and get some of these tapes. I was trying to go back today. There's another one he had, too. And they was just going in. It was a Wu-Tang one. It was Method Man. Was it Method Man? Yeah, Method Man. He had one that he broke with him. He broke so many. I'm not. I know 60 Minutes of Funk. I can't remember every one of them, but he lit it up. He lit it up. You know, so shouts out to Funkmaster Flex. You know, I think he doesn't, for what everybody sees now, I think they don't understand what he did back then. And I think they, you know, let me address this, because they said he doesn't give other opportunities, DJs a chance. He gave DJ Enough a chance. He bigged up DJ Cypher Sounds all the time. He bigged up, and I'm just talking about one or two of them. I know all of them, which we'll bring them up later, is like Jazzy Joyce, Cook and Sean. He blew up all the DJs. Mm-hmm. Flex pretty much on everybody that was on Hot 97 at one point. He bigged up all those DJs, Who Kid, everyone you could think of. I've heard him. I've been in back in that time when he was like, not to say he's not on top now, but I remember being in.
Keep talking.
Being in certain places and just turning on like the game and just turning him on the radio and letting him rock. So it's just what it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? It's he's just that DJ. He's just got it. He's a vet. I don't want to call him the Jordan of DJs. I ain't going that far. Mm-hmm. But he's definitely somebody that is in the top 5. Let me say that. And it's trend setting for the DJs.
So we just covered DJ Doo-Wop. Then you went to Funkmaster Flex. Are you going to do Tony Touch or K Slay?
Tony Touch for right now. For Tony Touch, I think, because you know we're on a time limit here. Not a time limit, but I want to kind of get to other topics. Tony Touch, who also did a mixtape with Doo-Wop as the Diaz brothers. Tony Touch was, you know, East New York DJ. He always played the records. He always had the Ill Street mixtapes. Somehow he knew how to transcend it, because what was transcending from him is when he did the 50 MCs. Anybody that knows hip hop, anybody that knows mixtapes, anybody that knows anything about the DJs, Tony Touch was that dude. Mm-hmm. When he did 50 MCs, I mean, he was the first one. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think he was the first one that broke Quiet Storm record from Prodigy. You asked me what record he broke? Quiet Storm was the first record. I forgot. It wasn't even finished yet. I think there was only one verse. If you hear Prodigy's first verse, I'm not talking about the one with Little Kim, which is banging, but the original one, I think he only played one verse. He's like, oh, I'm only going to play this one verse. He said, you're going to have to wait. Yeah. I distinctly remember that, but he had the 50 MCs. To kind of give you a thing, it was just 50 MCs over beats. And I think it was like Wu-Tang was on them, Mos Def was on them, Talib Kweli was on it, King's Son, Killer Priest. I mean, names who else am I thinking about here? Tony Touch, he had artists that you loved, but weren't getting enough credibility or getting enough showtime or airtime. And he helped put them on. And that 50 MCs, I think there was 3 volumes, all classics, not one whack one.
So from my era would be DJ K Slay, where he had the 100 MCs and so forth. Mm. Did K Slay get that from him?
Yeah, I think he got it from him. I think he did. They all kind of, and one thing about DJs, they all run in a circle. More thing about Flex. I think what makes Flex special is that he's survived every era. Not survived, but he's learned to adapt to every era. Same thing with K Slay. K Slay adapted to every era. When I started realizing about K Slay, I was hearing K Slay in the streets. He was like flooding the streets with mixtapes. This is before DVDs came. Then when the DVDs came, he started doing, and what he reinvented himself. Not that he needed to. When K Slay was like flooding the streets with the mixtapes, he was the streets. He was giving opportunities to brothers and young artists that needed the opportunity. And what was a great thing about him is that what a lot of DJs don't do now, you know, you got to be paying. Let's call it what it is, payola, right?
You said it, not me.
I'm going to say, you got to pay a certain DJ a certain amount of money for them to play your records. And some of them, and DJ Envy's came out and admitted about it too. They all do it. With K Slay, I don't know if he's done it, but he gave a lot of opportunities to a lot of your favorite artists. And when a lot of your favorite artists were about to get blackballed, K Slay gave them a lane to keep their career going. And that's the number one jewel I got from Slay. Now, that's not to mention how he had adapted to everything. He was on satellite radio. He played what he wanted to play. He was on Hot 97, and they never told him what he had to play. He was on, he did the DVDs. He did the mixtapes and the DVDs. He put the projects together.
Shout out to Straight Stuntin' magazine.
And then, of course, now let me tell you about that. People say, well, K-Slay did Straight Stuntin'. It's just, a lot of, I'm going to use the word booty models is what they say. Let me make it clear. There's a difference between King and Smooth and Straight Stuntin'. King and Smooth, they cater to predominantly black males. But at the same time, they cater to males who like women of color with curves. Can we say that?
Yep.
With Straight Stuntin', it was given an opportunity for women that may not be King's type of flavor or King's type of taste, and it was letting them and giving them the avenue, because not everybody that was in Straight Stuntin' was going to be on King.
You forgot one important element.
Yeah.
Through that magazine, because he was promoting the models, and the brothers going to like the models. He was also had an independent rapper on the cover with the model.
Facts.
So independent rappers were getting put on through Straight Stuntin' as well.
Facts. And he was promoting.
So he had that angle. And
he's promoting entrepreneurial businesses in there. If you go look through that, it's kind of like the funny thing is like they always say, like if you actually sit down and read Playboy, it's like they actually have good articles. Mm-hmm. You just don't ever really look at it because of what the content is in there. It's the same thing as with Straight Stuntin'. I'm not saying the interviews are always A1, but they interview, and like you said, independent artists. I knew about independent artists. It made me go look at this guy or this female or whatever. K-Slay was for the artist that you might love now, but before he was who he is now. Mm-hmm. So I remember when Diplomats were trying to get off the ground and push that movement, K-Slay was behind it. Papoose, same thing. I remember I think even before the Jive deal, when he left Cool G Rap, he got behind Papoose and flooded the streets. And that's not including the streets. And you know what else? K-Slay has some ill artists, man. And I don't know whatever happened to him. It was like Big Lou, and there was another one. She was a female. She was kind of short. Her name is bouncing off my head right now, but she was kind of ill. I don't know whatever happened to her. But K-Slay had a lot of artists that he let run through there, and he had through Street Sweepers. So shout out to him. He gave a lot of people a lot of opportunities, and it's sad that he's not here anymore. Rest in peace to K-Slay. But he was a trendsetter. He was definitely a trendsetter, and he's from Harlem, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I want to just quickly say rest in peace to DJ K-Slay, because that left a hole in hip-hop.
It did.
I want to know Papoose. I want to know the P's, the Uncle Murders, and all those underground New York artists that are my age, in their 30s and up.
Yeah.
All those artists ran through him. So I just want to say rest in peace, and hip-hop definitely misses him.
Let me shout out a few DJs, and like I said, we're probably going to have to do part 2. So let me shout out like Terminator X, Public Enemy's DJ Polo, Cool G Rap's DJ Premier, who was Gangstar's DJ. I think, and the reason why I bring these guys up is because they were kind of like at the forefront. Also DJ Spenderella, who was with Salt and Pepper, and also not just DJ Spenderella, but the original DJ Spenderella that was with them before. Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't know about that either. And K-Slay was another one that always pushed her too. So, and also let me give love to DJ Lazy K, who she was holding down Max B in French Montana, female DJ that she doesn't, and that does not get any credibility, which she should. DJ Coco Chanel and DJ Jazzy Joyce, who's having lady nights DJs and showing that the ladies are good on these turntables too, that they don't ever get credibility. I think Coco Chanel forgot the radio station. I apologize. You can check her out. If you go on her Instagram, you can see she's got the radio station there on her Instagram page. Go and look at her page. She was always nomadic too. No credibility. She gets credibility. I just don't think she gets the credibility she deserves. So salute to the female DJs too, because they don't get a lot of credibility, like DJ Amanda Blaze.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Before we leave off this topic, were you finished with DJ Tony Touch? Did you have something to add on that?
As for now, I'm gonna leave it alone. But I think Tony Touch, The one last thing I do want to say, he represented for the Spanish people too. He always jumped out there and made that very clear, you know. And I commend him for that. Doo-Wop did the same thing. They all did it, you know. I mean, to me, that's all the same in one. But I'm just saying for people of Spanish descent, Tony Touch always rapped, you know. Yeah, but Tony Touch was he was that dude. He was that dude. And, you know, salute to him with the Peacemaker albums on Tommy Boy. So that's all I have to say. I had a lot more to say other DJs. Like I said,
we're going to get a part two to that.
We'll do a part two to that, yeah.
So once again, in honor of the 50th year of hip hop, we definitely just want to give flowers to them DJs, because without the DJs, this thing wouldn't be happening.
Nope.
A lot of them records you love wouldn't have got spun. A lot of those movements wouldn't have got saw. So definitely respect to the DJ, because you are what hip hop personifies.
Yep. Facts. A lot of your A&Rs were DJs. A lot of them. You know what I'm saying? So
we're still staying in hip hop culture.
Okay.
One thing that happened a few days ago was the Grammys. And I know hip hop purists.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall back on this because I know you're gonna get it.
I need your input too.
Yeah.
I know hip hop purists feel two ways. Like, oh, well, the Grammys don't define us. But I'm gonna say this: I think the Grammys actually got one right.
Right.
A broken clock can be right at least one time. So, within saying that, Killer Mike won. Not only did he win, he swept all categories: best album, best rap song. He swept the entire rap category. So that's the context. Salute to Killer Mike, because he doesn't get enough credibility. Like I said, when we did a podcast last year and I played the clip, I said, I listen to Michael. I like the content.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I said, I listen to Michael. I like the content. Very contextual album. It had a lot of dope messages. Not only that, it represented for the independents. Now, I don't know if he distributed independently, but he said he made the album out of his pocket. So at least from that vantage point, it was an independent project. And you put that album up against the likes of Travis Scott, who I don't feel, even though he's within hip hop culture, I think that's a subgenre of hip hop. No disrespect.
Right.
You know, he went up against Drake, who he is hip hop, but he's still on that pop line. The only other person I pit him against that's pure hip hop was Nas, which nobody mentioned. When they say, oh, why did Killer Mike win? I never heard nobody say, well, how come Nas didn't win? They went straight to Travis Scott, which confused the hell out of me. But anyway, Killer Mike won, he swept. So I have a question for you. With the context I just laid out with Killer Mike winning, with a very, very dope context album, what does this mean for pure hip hop?
It gives hope. You know, I think that, you know, and I've been, you know, I'm older, so I've seen what the Grammys have done, where they you know, they not even acknowledging us. Then when they did acknowledge us, it was like, what the hell is this? So I think for this is kind of a statement to say that maybe what we're hearing on the radio now, which is complete garbage, a lot of it, maybe we need to go back to what we were. I don't want to sound like the old head that's talking crazy, but I do want to say hip-hop was, we were who we were. When you turn on the TV and you look at hip-hop, you can see yourself. I kind of feel like now it's kind of like what the industry thinks what we should be. That's just the point I'm making. When you hear Killer Mike's music, it's not what the industry thinks the album should be. It's what Killer Mike says the album is going to be. And what Killer Mike is representing the people that he feels that needs to be heard. So I think when he's getting Grammys, it gives hope that the artist is saying, I'm not selling my soul. I'm not doing it this way. And maybe it'll force the A&Rs and the labels or management or whoever you're up under, like, maybe I need to start listening and stop telling people what it is and let the artist just be the artist and do his job. Because that's exactly what the album is. That's not a label or a management album. That's a Killer Mike album, and it's all Killer Mike.
I definitely agree with everything you said. From just to add on to that, to piggyback on what you were saying, I felt it was a win for pure hip hop because it's going to force artists to go back, as you said, to putting a message back in their music. Like you said about your age and even my age, hip hop, in its inception in the late 70s, early 80s, it always came with a message. those artists that was making records, no matter who you name, whether it was LL Cool J, whether it was Run DMC, whether it was Slick Rick, whoever, they had a message. They weren't concerned with what's on the charts. Mm-hmm. So seeing that Killer Mike made that album, him talking about his late mother who passed away, him talking about black businesses and black brotherhood, like that was the theme of the project. It was like, wow, like we're really going back. Yeah. You know, and I'm not trying to sound like the old head either. Yeah. But it was like, wow, like we're actually getting a message in the music. This is not a vibe album. Yeah. Like I said on Instagram or Twitter or something, I said, when Dead Prez made that album, Let's Get Free, in 2000.
I remember that, so.
When Dead Prez made that album, Let's Get Free, in 2000, I'm going to give y'all a little context. This was at the time where gangster rap was kind of being ushered back into New York. 50 Cent was coming. Yeah. Murder Inc. was there. Yeah. Cameron and them, Jay-Z, Nas, like that, Noriega. That whole gangsterism was taking place at that time. Go listen to that Dead Prez album, Let's Get Free, The Message. They opened up with the track, I want to say was called The Wolf, and it was a nice analogy he used on it. They weren't thinking about, oh, let's make vibe music for the clubs. It was, we're about to put this dope message out to our people. Let's talk about Africa. Let's talk about uniting. Yeah. That's what I heard from Stickman and them, right, and M1 from Dead Prez. Right. That's what it took. That's what Michael took me back to, at least from conceptually. Salute to Killer Mike. Salute to hip hop, because that did it for me. Also with the age, let's call it out. Killer Mike's in his late 40s. When I mean late 40s, I think he's like 49. Oh wow. Like he ain't 41. He's like, he's about to touch 50. So now we got the ageism thing getting out the way, because now we could say, hey, maybe your career started a little late, or maybe your career started early, but you took some time off. You can always get back in it. Right. Killer Mike won at 49 and swept it against some young 30 and 20-year-olds. Right. It's something that I put out on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere that went haywire. It was.
Yeah, I want to comment on that. Go ahead.
So I'm going to give you the backdrop. So we're still talking about Killer Mike. We're still talking about the Grammys. A clip that I put out on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, hundreds of thousands of views. It was for the content creators that's within hip-hop culture, that's monetizing their platform, meaning they're making money on their YouTube, they're making money on their Twitter by talking about hip-hop, but don't know the basic knowledge, and they're asking, who's Killer Mike? How did you feel when you started seeing all these content creators? Forget their age. And some were black and some were white. So I'm not throwing it all on the non-black. It was some black people too. Right. How did you feel about that? Who was Killer Mike?
I felt that was clownish. What do you mean you don't know Killer Mike? He's part of Dungeon family. What are you talking about? He been on records with Outkast. Y'all don't know that?
He was on a record with Jay-Z.
Y'all still, you know what? Because they hooked on I don't know, no disrespect to Baby and what's the other dude's name that's getting locked up? Young Thug and all, you know. But y'all don't even know that. See, this goes back to, this is the one point I want to make, because I'm not gonna go all over the place. This goes back to, remember when we was talking about like with hip hop, like, yo, you know, you heard Rakim and then you fast forwarded to Onyx, you ain't be like, oh my God, hip hop is over.
You understood the evolution.
Yeah, you understood it. You saw it. But when you listening now, like, yo, these cats like, yo, I ain't know what Killer Mike was. Really? You ain't know what Killer Mike was? And then you're going to be funny about it. Well, I'm not trying to be funny, but who was Killer Mike? What type of music do you listen to? What is that? What is that?
And then here's responding to all the people, well, they're between the ages of 18 and 25. Look, I understand there's a generational divide, but I'm going to stick with the same point. You jumped in our culture, whether you're black, white, or Hispanic. Facts. You wanted to monetize your YouTube. You wanted to make money on TikTok. You got to, look, I'm going to give an analogy. Anytime you go on a job interview out in corporate America, they tell you to do one thing before the interview. Research the company.
Facts.
Because they're going to ask you a question about the company in the interview. And if you act like you're informed about the company, it raises your chances on getting the job.
Super facts.
So why would I jump into any genre, anime, R&B, whatever, and start trying to monetize my platform and I don't know the basic one-on-one knowledge of that genre? I wouldn't jump into country music. because I don't know the history of country music.
Right.
I wouldn't jump into rock and roll like that. That's not my strong point.
Right.
Even though I know it comes from us, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to try to create a TikTok tomorrow and start trying to bring up historical facts about rock and roll because I think I can hit the monetize button.
Right.
That's what those cats are doing, and it's disgusting no matter your ethnicity, because I saw a couple black cats too. Kai Cenat, I know he's young, but he has too big of a platform.
Really?
Young black kid he's a streamer. He got like 5 million subscribers on everything he has.
Didn't he do something? He did the Nicki Minaj interview and they got Ellie Wilson tight, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's just a point. So when I kept seeing people commenting, well, what do you expect the 18 to 20? I'm not talking about the average 18 to 25-year-olds. But as soon as you call yourself media, you have to research.
Right.
You have to research. You have to read. You have to learn and keep learning. We're in hip hop, right? I don't know all the 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
But just in case we got to interview him one day, you don't think I'm researching who D-Thing is from the Bronx that just got signed to French Montana? Got to. You don't think I'm researching who Zay Osama is? Got to. I might not listen to him, but because we're in media, I got to at least know the basics of the 20-year-old drill culture.
Yeah.
Just in case we have to speak about it.
Right.
That's what I felt about this whole Who's Killer Mike. Especially you young black brothers. That dude just moved to Atlanta too not too long ago. That's what makes it even worse. You moved to this man's city. You moved to Atlanta talking about Who's Killer Mike.
That's crazy. That's super crazy.
Before we move off the Grammys, moving forward, what would you like to see from the Grammys?
I think let me say this, and I don't want this to sound bad as it's gonna sound, but I don't care. The hip hop culture has contributed a lot to the music culture, period. And I don't care when they say hip hop, they think it's just rap. It's not rap, it's R&B. There's R&B and there's rap and there's jazz. Let me not even get started. So hear what I'm saying.
Can you just go in just a tiny nugget about that R&B?
Yeah,
because
like,
we could talk about Casey and JoJo and what the records was doing back in the 90s.
Yeah,
and
man.
how Puff was. I'll let you go.
So they don't really push when they get the Grammys like for R&B. Like Alicia Keys is hip hop. That's a hip hop. That's a hip hop kid. She just singing R&B records. It's the same thing with Usher and them. You can't separate the two. Did you not see the halftime Super Bowl show?
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Did you not see it? He had Little John. He had Luda.
Let's not spill all of it.
So you have hip hop that's intertwined with R&B. That's where they're all intertwined together. It's all intertwined together. I don't know if you noticed, most of R&B artists and hip hop artists look alike. They all look at similar skin tones. So I don't think when you're trying to say, they need to be acknowledged. And I think it's cool to have a BET award, even though we don't own it. Let me not even get started with that. But it needs to be acknowledged and respected more, and we need more airtime because clearly the numbers show that we deserve the airtime. Lil Wayne was popping off with platinum albums when the record labels were flopping and failing. I don't know what else, but wasn't country doing that. So I'm just gonna leave that there. It is what it is, man.
So I'll end off by saying, once again, salute to Killer Mike.
Yes.
Salute to him on his Grammy win, sweeping the Grammys. And more importantly, salute to hip-hop, because I think this might have started something moving forward.
Facts.
So I'm going to move into another segment. I don't know if it's going to be called Culture Vultures, but you may enlighten me and change my mind. So Newera, the fitted cap company.
Yeah.
Collab with the Negro Leagues to distribute hats with the Negro Leagues on them with red, black, and green colors. You're very good in baseball. You're very knowledgeable on the Negro Leagues. I'm to a little extent, but I know you really know baseball. When I first showed you the graphic of the Negro Leagues collaborating with Newera Fitted, collaborating with the Negro Leagues, what did you think about it?
My whole thing is who's owning this imprint, which is Newera clearly. How did it get signed over to them? And where's the money going? Where's the money? And they're doing this for Black History Month, correct?
On Black History Month. So it just came out.
So when those caps get sold and they get pushed and they get promoted and they spend all that money, where is that money going? That's the first thing I'm trying to figure out. Where is the money going? Is it going to the families of the Negro League players off the backs of those Negro League players that have created that brand that you are now profiting off of?
And for the younger audience.
And I'm wondering, did any family members have to sign up? Like, I'm trying to figure it out, because there's no reports and nothing about it,
Just seen the graphic. We don't know the full details. And for the younger audience who may not be familiar, can you just do a brief synopsis on the Negro Leagues and what it means to us in our culture?
There was a time at one point when, where blacks couldn't play baseball at all. The most famous one thing is Jackie Robinson, who played in Negro Leagues. And then he came up and, with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they won a World Series. And he transcended because he was the first person of color to break the color barrier. To kind of give you more of how important that is, there would be no Gary Sheffield. There would be no, what's the hottest player right now? There would be no Spanish baseball players. There would be none of that. Because that color barrier had to be broken, and Jackie Robinson was the first to do it. Now, even though the numbers are low, a lot back then, a lot of the players that the teams were getting were from the Negro Leagues. If you go look, the one famous one, how ill he was Satchel Paige.
Played all the way up into the 60s.
Yeah, that dude was illmatic. So, I mean, just to kind of, and that he wasn't the only one that could. I don't think that era is not being talked about or mentioned a lot. I think that's the sad part. I think that the illmatic part about it is that now I can look at the positive from New Era that this is going to help push and promote it, but are we only going to do this for the month? Are you going to help do like some type of promotion when it comes to Major League Baseball start and play? So after February, while everybody's down there in spring training camp, are you gonna at some point? Because I forgot there's a day that they have that they push and promote when the color barrier was broken in Major League Baseball. I wonder what New Era is gonna do, what part they're gonna play in that. Mm-hmm. I just wonder these questions I'm asking right now. I just wonder when is this all gonna happen. So to kind of give you the history lesson, they are now profiting off of something. A league that kind of fell apart after we integrated, and that's another conversation for another day. But at the same time, it was a very profitable league. It was very independent, and I think that, let me be honest when I'm saying this, and it's probably gonna not be a popular opinion. Had they just stuck it out and said we're not going over there, I mean, what can you say though for the money that they was offering? But had they stuck it out, that league was catching steam. We was going to the games. We weren't going over there. We were going to the games. Why are we going to go over here and sit in the back when we can sit right here, play on this field? I sometimes, wish, I'm not going to get into that. Let me just say this. At the end of the day.
Spit it out, man.
Well, I think sometimes integration was a good thing, but in some ways it was a bad thing. It was one of the worst things that could have happened in some of the things. And I think as far as with team sports and where we dropped the ball, this is on a bigger level. You listening about the Negro Leagues, right? Mm-hmm. The players and everything, I don't think they're celebrated. I don't remember seeing any real big celebrations. Now, I'm pretty sure when you drop this clip, they'll be like, oh, here's a link, and it'll show some, I don't know. I haven't really seen it. But at the end of the day, I think where we dropped the ball, when you look at that, there's no people of color that own any major teams. So when we were playing and we had our own teams in the Negro Leagues, maybe that's what we should have been thinking about before going over there collecting that check. But to get back to the topic, I hope that New Era is giving money or donating money to the families of the Negro Leagues that was involved in this. Because I'm trying to figure out, what they're doing. Like maybe their heart's in the right place, but I'm trying to figure out on the back end what they're doing. And that needs to be explained. That does need to be explained.
So that's the topic that's the segment about New Era.
Just as a side note, can I say something?
Go ahead.
I wonder, are they gonna, since they're doing Negro Leagues, are they behind the HBCU games, baseball games? Because I don't really see anybody coming out of that and getting drafted. I mean, since you want to be all about the Negro Leagues and Black History Month.
That's a good point, because
In
you
other
know
words,
there's some baseball teams at HBCU schools.
In other words, I don't want to hear about 29 days of you pushing something to sell. I want to see you actually do the work longer than 29 days. So unless you're donating money to those families from those players from that league, I do not care. And I will not push and promote it. And we will find out one way or another. You know.
Interesting take. Now in present culture, let's get into some TV shows.
Oh boy, hell, we gonna go into that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
One of our favorite shows just ended, season 3, Raising Kanan.
Oh my goodness.
Raising Kanan season 3 came to an end on Friday. How did you feel about that last episode?
That was crazy. That was super crazy.
Illmatic.
I would never. Yeah, now that it's out, so we can kind of really talk about it.
Yeah, you know, spoiler alert. Y'all better go catch up, man.
Yeah. Like Kanan, you know, he first of all, like even through everything, he still was loyal to his mom's. You know, because remember his mother was looking at him like, you don't know what you're doing. He's like, yeah, I do know what I'm doing. Like basically, he was telling her like, you're not gonna beat this dude. This dude's gonna get you from every angle. With me, he'll never see it coming. I think what was so crazy about it was like, you know, you're starting to see Kanan. I love this story because it shows you how he became who he became. Remember when Power first came on, you just heard about Kanan, and then when you saw him for how Ghost and Tommy explained him, but you didn't know about his story. Now
It's starting to unfold.
Yeah, it's starting to unfold. We only saw a sample of Jukebox, and now like we starting to see like who Jukebox, how she started becoming. Yeah. It's starting to show you the evolution of how they became, and I love it. I think 50's brilliant for how he did this.
And the writers too.
I think, but just the overall like format. What do we want to call it? The outline.
Yeah.
The whole outline of like, all right, we're gonna start with Ghost and then Ghost and Tommy, and then we're gonna go backwards and show what happened to Kanan, why Kanan became this way, and then we're also gonna see how he became up with Ghost and Tommy, which they said they got a while to do that.
I think this is going to be 7 seasons.
They said with Ghost and Tommy, Ghost and Tommy's in middle school at this point, so it ain't even.
That's why I said I think they got a couple more seasons.
Yeah, so it's gonna definitely be something. I really like where this is going. It's kind of ill. Now, I mean, you know, she shot his pops right in front of him, son. You can't get even Kanan was looking at him.
That was
like,
a chess move. That was a chess move.
You think so?
It was a chess move for 2 reasons. As you said, like she at the end was kind of looking at him like, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
But when he hit Ronnie, when he hit Ronnie,
that shocked her.
He looked her in the eye.
Yeah.
Like, I did this without blinking. And then she shot his pops and looked him in the eye and was like, pretty much, if you cross me, I killed your father in front of you.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I killed your father in front of you without blinking.
That was crazy.
Now, here's part 2 of that. She also had to get rid of that because he kept telling her, there's only so much we can do. Somebody's going to have to pay for this. Yeah. Somebody had to get offered up. And in her head is, unfortunately, it's going to be you. Yeah. You're the dirty cop. They're going to see you as a dirty cop.
Yeah. He, you know, and it was crazy because you should have saw that coming because he said, to be honest with you, I'm tired of dealing with this. And he said, so there's only so much we can do. He was right though. He's like, yo, the feds is coming. They not letting up. Yeah. They're not gonna let up. They're gonna keep coming. He said,
I can't even save myself out of this.
Yeah.
But you and the boy,
y'all good. Yeah. So
in a way, he kind of sacrificed himself. Here's the ill part that I like of the episode. She kept running to grown men that kept pitting their problems on her. And she told a few, she told her brother, she said, you know what's so funny? Y'all keep pitting y'all problems on me, but then want me to fix them. You got to pick a lane. Yeah. You can't say I'm the problem, but then you need to fix it. Y'all need to figure it out because I own my ish. When I do wrong, I own it and I fix it. Yeah. Y'all don't want to stand in that. Yeah. That was ill because we dealt with that in real life. Yeah. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. She said, yo, you you want me to fix it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like what you did with Lou.
Does Raising Kanan have the potential to be better than a series like The Wire?
Yes. Yeah,
because you know that's a cult classic.
The Wire is a classic, and you'll never get tired of watching The Wire. Because The Wire, you know what made The Wire special? Not to go off in there, it told you the story from every angle. It told you the story from the cops' angle, the reporter's angle, the drug dealer's angle, and the kids' angles. It told you from every part of that game. It was telling you their angle. Even the head drug dealers that don't look like us. Yeah. It told you. It made you look from every angle. With Kanan, Kanan is part of the tree, the power tree, and it's all connected. And it's just ill to go back and look. If you go watch Power now, it now makes sense how with Kanan, certain things he was saying, he's like, yo, I never came from nothing good. Mm-hmm. And then like how he be trying to test Andre and all that, it now makes sense of the things because you seen what his mother was doing, or you saw with what Ronnie was doing, you know, which was crazy. But you know what I'm saying? Like how he killed his own son, how Kanan killed his own son. I don't think he got that from now. We're going to see why he became that evil. Because even when Rock killed his father, he was kind of looking at her like, are you serious? Mm-hmm. Like, you killed my father right in front of me. What's wrong with you?
Darn Black History Month.
Yeah, he said during Black History Month. You
gonna take the black man out?
Yeah, you crazy.
Yo, writers, I got a little bone to pick with you with that one, but we know it's a TV show. Yeah, but the imagery on that from the writers, y'all know better.
Yo, he took his pops out. Yeah, his Kane's even he was just looking at her like,
no, the father looked like, come on, man, you see this? You know where we heard that from? Every black father in the hood. Yo, son, you see this shit right now?
Yeah, facts.
But yo, man, that's ill. The way season 3 ended was ill, and it gives us something to look forward to when season 4 comes back around, probably in another 9 months.
You know what I do look forward to is Jukebox Story, because
it's starting to develop real good.
But she's like when we saw her in Power, she was gone, dog. There was no emotion to her. There was nothing to her. Like she was a monster. And even though I know it's a show, if you look at what Tommy said, when Ghost said, he was like, yo, he said, you know who had my son? He was like, Jukebox. And Tommy looked at her like, that crazy bitch? Mm-hmm. So for Tommy to say that, that's saying a lot. Mm-hmm. He ain't scared of nobody. So yeah, man, that's just crazy.
Shout out to Raising Kanan. Shout out to people who watch it like us. Yeah. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 4. Salute to 50 Cent and all the writers on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now it's time to travel off to the NFL. We finally within our sports segment.
Yeah.
So let's start it off like this. There's a lot to talk about within the NFL, but you just tagged me today in a post. The post you tagged me in was from the National Association of Black Journalists. To give context to the people that's going to see this, we're black media, we're black independent media, and we've had our struggles navigating this space since 2010. A lot good, so we won't complain too much, but we had our fair share of rejection. So the context was the National Association of Black Journalists is calling for a meeting with the NFL. Is calling for a meeting with the NFL due to lack of representation in media hirings.
Right.
So I want you to take it away with your thoughts on that.
Well, the thing is that, one, it is a great thing to say. It's a great way to bring attention. But 2, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking this long to have this conversation? Me and you have talked about this before. We've been seeing this. So, I'm sorry. We've been seeing this before. So my whole thing and my whole mentality is like, if we're in most media rooms, me and you have been in media rooms
a lot since 2010.
Preseason NBA, college football,
and basketball, men and women,
WNBA. Okay, I can't tell you about the scarcity of the people of color in the rooms. And then even when you get in the rooms, they want you, and we talked about some people, they want you to just sit there. Like you're just like a representative.
You got to be lucky if you get one question off.
One question
and I'll say not all programs, some. So I'll be fair, but there's been a couple instances where we're in a room and the media relation person is telling us to put our hand down.
Facts. Which you're going to get exposed very soon. Don't worry. We play chess, and I don't think you know who we know that's going to have a conversation with you ever do that again. So I'm
we
going
also
to make
sent
that very clear.
We also sent emails out to certain NFL teams, and they hit us with the well, you need to get your numbers up.
Yeah.
But now we're hearing from other black media who work for major publications. Because if you go look at that post, and I'm going to screenshot it.
Yeah.
I'm going to overlay it over this
what
video.
I said, yep.
No, I'm talking about the person who commented on that post. I don't know if you saw it. He said, yeah, I agree with you, but I work for a major media company, and they still won't let me in. And I'm going to overlay that. So it's not just the independent black media. It's the black media that also works with major media companies and still can't get a freaking reporter gig to a game.
Mind you got a newspaper that's bringing like 4 kids, and I'm going to say that again, kids that are like in college and just trying to get a credibility of a journalistic credit. And they ain't even doing nothing, man. Why you got 4 people from a newspaper coming in here to cover a game? Are you kidding me? To do what? And they ain't doing nothing but sitting there being bozos. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not giving a perspective. Let me tell you something, man. I don't care how this sounds. You know, Charles III is not going to give an opinion that Azar is going to give an opinion. Who you think they're going to listen to from that looks like me? They're going to listen to Charles, ain't going to listen to me. Where do you think they get that credibility? You got to stop saying that, yo, because we got Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp, which do a great job, and Ryan Clark and all them, that, oh, we have credibility in NFL. No, we don't. No, we don't. I want to see, you know what I want to see? A screenshot of what those media, because you know how we look at it different. So when you see the interviews, the post-game interviews, you see the table and you see the player. Yeah. You don't see who's sitting back there. Yeah. I guarantee there's not one black face if there is one black face. So, like, you know, the NFL has a major problem. There is a big problem with the NFL. It is bad. Now, college, they're pretty lenient, except for the big conferences. They even will let you in. You just got to have your credibility straight. WNBA, for most organizations, with the exception of one that's in New York, so we all know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. They're pretty much they give you the respect and credibility you deserve if you have your ducks in a row. And I said college basketball, college football too. Yep. Same thing. It's a fight to certain conferences, but you have your credibility, they let you in, right? But with the NFL and with the New York area, I'm gonna say the New York area, that's part in New Jersey, not the one up north and out west. The point I'm making is, you're being nice.
I'm going to say it. The fucking Jets.
Yes.
I'm not tap dancing during Black History Month.
Right.
And the person there, I won't say your name, but the person there is a person of color.
Yeah. And they give you all types of issues, all types of excuses. They tell you that for right now, I could tell they didn't look at nothing we doing. And then when I saw who got in there, I was like, are you kidding me? They got in there? I'm not going to, I would never throw anybody under the bus from sources. There was somebody that got in there. They showed me who got in there. And I don't know how they got in there. I don't know why a school newspaper's in there. Please explain that to me. Who in the hell is looking at a school newspaper for what's going on in the NFL? Let that sit there. Who is going into a school newspaper outlet to find out what's going on in the NFL? I ain't never in my life, in all my years on this earth, have ever looked at that. Before social media and internet, it was the ESPN. And then once social media and internet came, it was always, the platforms that was. So it was ESPN, Fox, certain. I ain't never looking at no school newspaper. What school newspaper? What are you bringing to the? Come on, man. What are you telling me right now? Get my numbers up to what? That local paper that's not doing anything? I don't see any videos. I don't see any post-game videos. I don't see any highlight clips. I don't see nothing. So they're going to have to answer for something. Why don't y'all step up, man? I see the Pivot podcast is running around, but see, that's because Ryan Clark was a player. So they give him access to certain venues that they would never give us access to.
Let's separate, like you said, the former players who are millionaires that can fund the podcast. Yeah. The Cam Newtons. Yes, he's gonna get NFL players because he was in the damn NFL. Same thing with Ryan Clark. Salute to them. Right. But we're talking about black journalists like me and you that's been in this space for 15 years.
That's getting started.
And other black journalists, not just men. I'll salute the women too, because there's a lot of black women journalists that are going through the same thing in this.
Facts.
And they tell us too when we bump into them, yo, we can't get into this college game. Yo, we can't get into the WNBA for this team.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. I'm talking about black journalists who are not millionaire athletes.
Facts. And they're getting black and nobody's talking about it.
So that's
there's not to throw shots, and I'm not throwing shots at them. Please don't take it, because I love Shannon Sharp. Stephen A. Smith, 50. He's I respect him because I've seen what he's going through, but it don't condone some of that stuff you be saying and doing, and that's a conversation.
Let's stick on
man to man. But it's just he's not the representation of all of us.
Okay,
and I think that's what I'm kind of trying to get here. You see the Pivot podcast. And, they go to certain training camps and they talk to players. We can't do that. They won't even let us in the door. So somebody needs to step up and say it. So, Shannon Sharp can get in there. We can't get in there.
That's what I said. And
then the thing is, and let me call it what it is. It's a token representation. It's nothing against them, but it's like, well, look at who's all covering the NFL. Who are you talking about? The people that work for ESPN? What happened? You know what? Thank you for bringing this up. Did you see the last week of the NFL? Was it week 18 or 17? They were wearing social justice and entrepreneurship and all that. So what happened? And you're like, the whole Black Lives Matter and we're all about, diversity and everything. So how come the media ain't diverse? When we gonna hear about that? You got Malcolm Jenkins and all that talking about, we're having conversations. What conversations are you having about black media? Do not tell me, and you know what? Not to throw shots, and I'm not throwing shots at them, but the questions I want asked about the Shannon Sharp and them, don't you dare tell me that when you came in, and see, it's a thing of, the sad part is they're accustomed to it. You're a player of color. Half the time when you walk through a media room, nobody in there looks like you. And I think when you get on this side of things, I don't think you realize it because you've been on that side so long. But to me, it's a duty and an obligation that it needs to be said. And it needs to be representation more than ESPN.
That's why I brought this book up.
Facts.
See, I was playing chess.
Yeah.
I didn't bring this book up because it was Black History. I brought it up because it's intertwined with the topics we're talking about.
Yeah.
The miseducation of some of these Negroes.
Yeah.
Go back in.
Yeah. So it looks at me like the point I'm making is that you're not saying anything. You're not. It's more than just the players, man. We got something to say too. And we got a way of saying it too. And we look at it from an angle too. It ain't just them on ESPN and Fox. Who you think you fooling with that?
That's why I differentiated when I said millionaire athletes who now have podcasts.
Yeah.
It's expected for Cam Newton to get every NFL athlete. It's expected for Ryan Clark and all of them. They're millionaire athletes that can fund. I'll even take us out of the equation, even though I'm not taking us out of the equation. Mm-hmm. I'm talking everyday black journalists.
Yep.
Men and women of color that's been in this space longer than 10 years. Yeah. That's being told, yeah, we see your resume. We see that you done put in 10, 15 years of work, but you can't even come to a summer training camp.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You mean I've been covering professional sports for 15 years and you still want me to lick the damn ground to get into a training camp?
Yeah.
So salute to the National Association of Black Journalists. I pray that they don't let up. I pray that they put their foot on their neck on this topic because black media, the only other person outside of them is Roland Martin. Roland Martin has been taking people to task about black media and lack of advertisement and going to these companies and looking at their board of directors and doing what you said. You're a person of color on the board of directors. What's going on? Why are you not talking up? See, we got to start naming names.
Yeah. Yep.
So salute to Roland Martin for always speaking up for black media. And salute to the National Association of Black Journalists.
And the thing about the NABJ, because I saw that post, because they're talking about hiring practices. I'm not talking about hiring practices. I'm talking about owners that want in. I'm not talking about being hired. I don't want to be hired. I don't, man. I'm not going to work for somebody that don't respect me and wants to say, yo, you be grateful you coming in here and we're going to put you in this spot. And then what? Put me in a high school game? Don't do it, man. Because I'm mollywop you. I'm not doing it. We have our own lane, and we're going to do it our way. And if you don't want to let us in, that's fine. But then what's that say about the people that are in? Yo, you ain't going to say nothing? You ain't going to say nothing? Really? You have an obligation. Trust me when I tell you, even though you think you don't, and they know who I'm talking about, you have an obligation. I don't care because, the players, and shouts out to them. I'm happy. Let me say this much. I'm happy that the athletes now have this platform of ones that look like us because there was nobody talking for us. And that's why those players were always getting into trouble in those bad interviews because they had some geeky, degenerate jerk that was a social misfit trying to have an interview about something that he don't know what he's talking about.
Don't come from our culture.
Don't come from our
Can't
culture
speak the language.
and interviewing and talking and don't know what the hell he's talking about.
What Mobb Deep said or Nas said, you don't speak the done language.
No, facts.
What's the dealie with that though? You ain't banging.
Yeah. So why is this guy here? What is he here for? That dude is interviewing that guy? Really? So understand what I'm saying is just what I want to end with is just when I hear that, I'm happy about what they're saying about the hiring practices, but I ain't looking for a job.
As black media owners,
I'm not looking for no job. I'm looking for the opportunity to cover like everybody else. And it's going to be what it's going to be or it's not. Don't know what to say.
So as we still stay within the NFL, before we get to the Super Bowl, we got to acknowledge the MVP winner, black quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, definitely.
Salute to Lamar Jackson for winning his second MVP. He's still in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I know he didn't get to the Super Bowl, but all that beside, what does this do for his career and what does this do for black quarterbacks?
I think that, number one, let me say salute to Lamar Jackson because, and you alluded to this on previous podcasts, they was trying to make him a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yo, you shouldn't play quarterback. And those guys, let's call it what it is. This article, and we'll talk about it another time. Shouts out to Mike Freeman for USA Today because he was elaborating on this. And those coaches who are blatantly racist. Let's just call it what it is. But long story short, this does great for his career and for black quarterbacks. I think it helps the conversation because of what Mahomes just did. This kid can play. Now, let me give you two scenarios. One, I'm going to use a race card. There's a guy up in New York that they gave all this money to before they gave that guy running back Saquon Barkley money.
Daniel Jones?
Yeah, gave him like $40 million, right? They thought he was the future in the franchise. And look how that has worked out. Right? There's rumors that they're looking to go somewhere else because they make a trade because he ain't our guy. That's not Dable's guy. But I'll leave that alone. I just wanted to make that point. Second, there's another guy in Dallas that got $40 million a year. And he wet the bed in the first game. And I'm going to take a quote for Stephen A. Smith because this ain't even me. This is what he was doing during the game. There's a camera on me. This is what he was doing during the whole game, right? That's what Stephen A. Smith said. He's right. Lamar Jackson got his money. And even though he didn't play great, he got into the AFC Championship game. He just lost to one of the greatest quarterbacks that's going to ever play the game. I'm not mad about that. He'll get over the hump, but he's just playing one of the greatest who happens to be black. Half black, I'm sorry, but he's black. We all know. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that it does great. And maybe, I think the league has adapted because they don't have a choice. I think, and thank God, and no disrespect to Michael Vick. I know it's not going all over the place, but once again, I'm going to make my point. Because when you have Michael Vick, I'm going to give a real quick excerpt. Michael Vick and Peyton Manning, they came out around the same time. Everybody said Vick was going to be the better quarterback than Manning. He would have had clearly the outside. We all know the story. That kind of put black quarterbacks backwards. I'm going to be honest. You know why? Let me tell you another real quick story. Quincy Carter from the Cowboys, he got suspended for smoking weed after Bill Parcells gave him a second chance because he was messing up. Okay? So the point I'm making is that when they were willing to take the chance on black quarterbacks,
some of them were messing up.
They just kept, give it time. It's like what Stephen A. says about the Cowboys. Just give it time. They're gonna mess it up. They're going to screw it up. But I think now as you look forward, when you look at the black quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, what's his name? What's his name that just played?
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Homeboy.
Yeah, my homeboy, Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts. Jordan Love. somebody else I'm missing here. Deshaun Watson. There's somebody else I'm missing here. Tua, right? Who? It's
person of color.
Facts. So when you look at it, we are now starting to see these quarterbacks that are doing well, and we're not hearing trouble. We're not hearing destroying franchises. We're hearing them to move on and do what they're doing. I think it was big for Lamar Jackson. He just has to get over that hump. What my problem is with him is, don't do what everybody wants you to do. Do what you got to do. He should have ran
that ball a little more in that game.
Patrick Mahomes is a thrower too. For the last time the 49ers played him, the one before this one, what got them over the hump was Patrick Mahomes took off.
Mm-hmm.
And where it helped them on fourth down a few times yesterday, Patrick Mahomes took off.
I saw it.
Don't let them dictate that this is the way to win Super Bowls. Because Brock Purdy's a pocket passer. How'd that work out for him?
He's a nice game manager.
Yeah, that's great.
You got a nice article there. You want to bring it up?
No. This is not to go off, but it's an interesting column from Mike Freeman. He clearly did this column before the Super Bowl. Like, okay. You know this is a deadline. So his article came out before the outcome of the Super Bowl yesterday. But he was talking that black quarterbacks have a foothold in the Super Bowl because of Mahomes. So, and he was talking about he broke it all down in here. It's a column by Mike Freeman in the sports section of USA Today. For anybody that knows, please check it out. It's a dope article. Freeman does release some dope articles. I don't agree with everything he says, but he does some dope articles. Another person, even though, the toilet bag organization, we call it the Broncos for right now, because after what they pulled with Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson's won the Super Bowl. He talks about how when Doug Williams won that Super Bowl, and people don't know this, I was a kid and I watched that.
Back in the 90s.
And I didn't understand racism back then. But Doug Williams won that Super Bowl. He paid the price for that. Nobody ever took Doug Williams back after that. I don't know why they took it out on him. Nobody ever picked him up. I mean, Nick Foles has got more chances than I don't know what.
Do you think that played in the mind of Cam Newton when he didn't dive on that ball in the Super Bowl?
Maybe. I don't know. But that's another thing. Cam Newton got into a Super Bowl. If you notice, a lot of these Super Bowls, there's a lot of black quarterbacks.
You just talked about Doug Williams paying the price.
He paid the price. And let me say this with Cam Newton, because there's some things. Can I address that real quick?
Go ahead.
Because we were talking about Lamar Jackson. Cam Newton, I think he talked about Brock Purdy as a game manager, right? And he has but let me make this clear. Cam Newton made a good point. I don't know if anybody saw this because he was on First Take not too long ago. He said, I've never had an off season. They just call me and say, yo, can you come in? He said, remember when I was with the Patriots, Belichick just called me to come in. I didn't have no off season with the Patriots. I don't know. I don't.
That's
remember.
A rhetorical question.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
None.
So nothing. So and they went 7-9. Then Matt Jones took over and they got to the playoffs with 9-7 or 10-6. They did a little better. So Matt Jones sat for a year. He went to Carolina in the middle of the season and came back. Came off the couch. He said after he said people were saying it's over. Well, how is it over? What are you talking about? Did you? And then Brock Purdy comes out and says, yeah, well, Cam Newton. I know. He said because I guess they asked him, and he says, well, I know about the 90+ quarterbacks that's in the league, and he's not one of them. Okay, but you're part of the crew of the quarterbacks that he's in that have lost the Super Bowl. You're one of them.
How many times is this for San Francisco? 3 Super Bowl losses?
I think this is 2. You
might want to check that. I think it's 3.
Well, 3, yeah, because of the one with Baltimore with Kaepernick. And then there was the next one with Garoppolo. And then there's this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Brock Purdy.
So to say Lamar Jackson, it's great that he got it just solidifies what these so-called GMs and scouts are basically idiots. Not all of them, but the majority of them are idiots. And they're arrogant, and they have an old school way of thinking. I've seen this quarterbacks that I saw coming out of college, black quarterbacks, and they made them receivers. Antoine Randall, who else was that? Michael Vick, they was trying to make one. He said no, too. And Lamar Jackson said no. And there's somebody else I'm missing here. I think it's Michael Williams from Seattle. But he was a quarterback, and they said, yo, you should go be a running back. I don't want to be a running back, man. I don't. And salute to Lamar Jackson. You know why it's so important that he won an MVP? Because this young black boy is looking at him from when he got drafted that day. Because I remember he was like 29th or 30th. He got drafted that day, and he said, they gonna get a Super Bowl out of this. He said, I ain't gonna never forget the teams that passed on me. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say, Baltimore was in the AFC Championship game. I don't remember Tennessee being in the AFC Championship game. I don't remember the Chargers being in the AFC Championship game. I know they got Justin Herbert. I don't remember the Raiders being in a championship game. I don't remember New England being in a championship game. The guys that probably passed on Lamar Jackson because they just have their old school way of thinking.
Salute to Lamar Jackson. He got more MVPs in the system.
Oh, facts.
So let's get into
him and Mahomes are going to be having a duel. That ain't going to be the first and last time they're going to see each other.
So let's get into the big game, the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Obviously, Kansas City Chiefs won 25-22.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes went 34 for 46, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, only threw 1 pick. Game manager went 23 for 38, 1 touchdown.
What do you? I want to know your opinion before I go in on this.
You told me, actually, you got on your undercover. You got he got on his undercover TikTok.
Yeah.
So we got a company TikTok, but he has one and I have one.
Right.
I don't even use my own personal TikTok.
Okay.
So he got on his TikTok and he talked about the Kyle Shanahan. He said, just wait for it. Just wait for it, and it's going to happen.
Yep.
And everything he said on his TikTok about Kyle Shanahan and his thought process when it comes down to the game on the line, it literally played out verbatim.
Yeah.
My analysis, outside of agreeing with you, is Patrick Mahomes is like Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
In order to beat them, you have to cut their head off.
Yeah.
You were up 10 points. You did not stop their throat in. In the third quarter, what did you do? Nothing. You did nothing in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, you played around, got a field goal. You missed the extra point somewhere that probably could have put the game away.
Yeah.
You missed homeboy. I forgot who he missed. Debo. Did he miss Debo on that play? When it was like 3rd and 5 and you overthrew him because Chris Jones was rushing at you?
Yeah.
I saw Chris. Yeah, but you when you staring down the barrel of that 9, you got to take that hit and throw that ball perfect.
Yeah.
If you see the replay of him overthrowing Debo, it was right there. That was the game.
Yeah.
He even said it. They zoomed in on his face. He was like, he's right there.
Really?
Yeah. If you go back and look at that highlight in real time, they zoomed in on his face. He was like, he was right there. Yeah, you overthrew. Like, you would have just took a little zip off the ball. That's a touchdown. Game over.
Mm-hmm.
So what you get hit? You got a Super Bowl ring. Game manager. Cam didn't lie. So what you said about Kyle Shanahan, you was 100% spot on.
Yeah.
I want you to go in on that.
I think that he called a good game, but it's like you say, he should have went for the juggler. This is my thing with Kyle Shanahan, right? You going into overtime, and this is where I think he kind of messed up.
What was up with that overtime? Because you know the rules is sudden death, and the players took the ball first instead of deferring.
Yeah, because you're going to get 4 downs. You know what I'm saying? If you Patrick Mahomes said if we got the coin, we weren't going to take the ball first.
That's what smart people do.
I said, oh snap. He said, and I was kind of shocked he said that
because he was confident.
Yeah, I think he said we weren't going to punt the ball. We were just going to go all out. We weren't doing this. Like he said, basically when they went up by 3, punt was not allowed. We were going for it at all times. I think, and let me. There's so many storylines in here, but let me stick with what I'm going to stick with. Shanahan, I think he should have went for the juggler. I think he should have said, no, you guys got the ball first. But let me make this clear, and I'm going to tell you why I think he took the ball first, and I'm not defending him. If you look at that last drive that Kansas City had before the game ended, they didn't stop Kansas City. Kansas City ran out of time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that again. Kansas City kicked that field goal on 3rd down. They didn't stop Kansas City. Kansas City ran out of time. So I'm going to say this. And, let me also say this. That game was going to be over anyway because if you look at that play where he went to Kelsey in the corner, Rice was wide open in the middle. He just didn't see him because the play was we're going to go to Kelsey, and if we don't get it, that's it. We're just going to go into overtime. But they didn't stop him. So I think he thought in overtime, like, yo, we just got to go in there and just go score a touchdown. I don't know if you do that with Brock Purdy. Now, I'm going to say this. I know Purdy's a great guy. We're all rooting for him because he's Mr. Irrelevant. There was a guy by the name of Daniel Jones I just mentioned. He looked great when Saquon Barkley was out there and Dable was calling plays. Saquon Barkley ain't out there and you ain't got your safety blanket. You don't seem to be the guy that's worth $40 million. So let me put this jewel out here.
Preach about his weapons.
There's a guy that's coming that you have to get the best, because at some point, what are we talking? This is year 2, right? So I think he has 2 more years, and they got to franchise tag him either after next year or the year after next. So San Fran is all in on trying to get this because Purdy's going to want money. I don't know if I want to pay $40 million for a game manager. I don't know if I want to do that. And that's the least you're going to pay. Because you know the price tag's going up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so let me make this clear. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think Purdy, I don't know, man. I think that there was 2 things that bothered me about what Shanahan did. I don't know why Kittle wasn't involved in that game. He only had 2 receptions for 4 yards. And then McCaffrey at some point, they were starting to figure that out too. I don't know if you peeped that, but Kansas City was starting to stop his behind too. So I think when you look at what Spags was throwing at him, he threw, and I'm going to talk like football terms, he threw a 3-man line and then 1 zone person, and he played man on the back. So you had the corners playing man with the receivers, and you had 4 people, and you had 1 guy, Roman Purdy, like, I dare you to come run outside, I'm going to hit you. So I don't, then he would play 3-3-man. So he would have 3 guys rush, and then you have to figure out the 4th guy, and there's 2 guys just sitting there playing zone, and 5 guys are playing man. I mean, it was so crazy and confusing. I mean, he was basically daring Purdy, like, I dare you try to figure this out. I don't know. Shanahan got out coached in the second half. I don't know what happened. I don't understand it. But what did I say in that video? I said, just wait for it. It's coming. It looked good, and I think Shanahan had the right game plan. He went in, he ran the ball. That's what you should have did when you was a coordinator in the Falcons. That's what you should have did when you had Patrick Mahomes down by 10-plus points in the last Super Bowl you played him in. But you try to go deep with Emmanuel Sanders, and everybody knocks Jimmy Garoppolo. That wasn't Garoppolo's fault. You tried to go deep on Kansas City on a deep ball, and he missed it. That's fine. But you're up by 10-plus points. All you got to do is run the ball.
Take time off the clock.
It would have did him dirty. And you knew it. And you could tell, if anybody goes back and look at that Super Bowl, the defense was tired. Richard Sherman was huffing and puffing. And then you put him back on the field and say, yo, go cover Tyreek Hill. Are you kidding me? That was your decision. That's why I said yesterday what I said. Just wait for it. I'm telling you, they're going to let you down. It's going to happen. So when Mahomes and them went on that drive, I said Kansas City's going to score. It's over. They, and they kicked the field goal, but they ran out of time. I got why they did what they did, but they should have just went for it. Anyway, long story short, what happens? Mahomes said, yo, when we got in overtime, we knew he was going to score. He said punt wasn't even going to be an option. He said, I don't know what Coach Reed was telling you, but me and the coordinators were saying we ain't even punting this ball. We're not giving it back. We're going to score a touchdown. That's going to be it. So you know what was more embarrassing? The players under the 49ers was like, yo, we didn't know about the new sudden death rules. Really?
They were brave enough to say that in the media.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So let me just make this clear, and I'm going to say this, and people say, well, San Fran's going to be back next year because it's already.
You don't know.
You really? You don't think Green Bay is going to be better? Did you see what Green Bay did to them in that game?
Mm-hmm. And
it was only because Jordan Love, that was his first playoff, year. So did you see what he did in that game? Keep going. You think Brock Purdy, you think anybody going to play that game with you?
Mm.
Green Bay is going to figure it out next year. How about Detroit? Wouldn't they beat you down?
Very good this year.
Detroit messed up because they did the same thing that Shanahan did. They ran away. They got away from running the ball when they initially had to run. Mm-hmm. They was stomping San Fran out. So what was you thinking when you got in the second half? You got lucky because there was a rookie quarterback that was trying to hold the lead, and a rookie, not a rookie coach, but it was his coach's first real year in the playoffs. So it was his first year in the playoffs, and not Jordan Love. It was the rookie years in the playoff. They're not that they're rookies. So it was Dan Campbell's first year in the playoffs. Anybody knows, keep running the ball. So same thing, Kansas City, they knew better. They said, yo, just wait. They were waiting for you to mess up. And you made it bone cold. Now, shouts out to Kyle Shanahan. For the most part, he was. But for whatever reason, that second half, we understand that you had the run game and you were pounding and wearing Kansas City's defense down. But I don't know what happened to Aiyuk, who he's leaving, because he's a free agent. Nobody knows about that. They're forgetting about that. He's going to want money. And now you got Debo. So you got Debo and Kittle, and I'm pretty sure McCaffrey's coming back. We'll see.
Got a question. Patrick Mahomes won his third Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. He's 28 years old. Mm-hmm. What does this third Super Bowl do for his career? And more importantly, is he heading in the right direction to catch Tom Brady?
Yes. Two things. One, because he's with Andy Reid and they're coming back. And there's reports that now Eric Bieniemy is coming back over there. Because he said he had to talk. Patrick Mahomes said that they had to talk with him right before the Ravens game, so they was pumped up.
Oh, real quick. So the winners want Eric Bieniemy. Because for some reason, the teams that are not doing nothing, he's rubbing the players the wrong way.
Yeah.
I know that's a whole nother topic, but for some reason, the winners want Eric Bieniemy. I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy. Yep. I think he's coming back next year. So I think that Mahomes, and they're gonna try to build around Mahomes. You know, they're gonna get better receivers. Because I mean, no disrespect, but I saw some of the receiving. I was kind of nervous every time he threw the ball yesterday. Who's going to drop something today? You know, let's be honest. So I think Mahomes will be back, one. Two, what this does for his career, he's already GOAT status. He's already GOAT status. 4 Super Bowls in how long?
So, pardon me.
He's going to GOAT status.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you say been in 4 Super Bowls?
I think he won. He lost the one to Brady.
Yep.
He won the one against San Fran. He won it. He won 2 against San Fran, and he won the other one. What was the other one? Who's that against?
I can't.
Philly.
Yeah, Philly.
Yeah. So it's 3 Super Bowls.
So is this the same situation with LeBron, where he doesn't have the rings to match Jordan, but we're still crowning him as the GOAT?
Let me put this in much. He can catch Brady. Brady's the GOAT. I said he can be a GOAT. Mm-hmm. He can be one of the GOATs. Like, Brady's a GOAT. Brady's the GOAT because he has 7 rings. But Jerry Rice is a GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you're talking about quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes is I don't. If he wins more Super Bowls than Brady, he's going to be the ultimate GOAT. Will he? He has a chance to. We'll see. But he is a GOAT quarterback. He already is a GOAT quarterback. LeBron's a GOAT player. I don't think he's better than Jordan. You'll never get me to say that. Never.
All right.
It's like, matter of fact, you know what? And I'm gonna bring this little hit up. Don't start with your smiling, man. This is what I really want to say. Kevin Durant made a good point. Not Kevin Durant. Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett made a good point. He said, "Yo, when we was playing, and you respected your opponent." He said, "Yo, we ain't hugging after the game, man. We ain't trying to hug you after the game." He said, "You see Durant and all these cats, man, and Giannis, and them. Oh, you a great player and hugging. No, I know you a great player. I'm gonna mollywop you on this court. That's the problem with these cats. Let me say this. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When Kobe got hurt on the court one time, LeBron went back there in the back room to go check on him during the halftime or whatever, because I think he had hurt his leg. I don't listen, man. I hope he's okay. I'm pretty sure the doctors are taking care of him. I have no concern about what he's dealing with right now.
Talking about the mentality of players.
So the point I'm making is that with that point is that, LeBron is great. He's a GOAT. He just ain't better than Jordan. He don't got the killer instinct. He don't. You want to go and hug people after. You my man, but you doing too much hugging. But as far as, not to sidetrack, Mahomes, he's a GOAT quarterback. He's a GOAT quarterback. He ain't even 30 yet. 28. He's been in 4 Super Bowls before he was 30.
So salute to the Kansas City Chiefs. Salute to Patrick Mahomes. but there's a bigger storyline in this. The halftime show. And okay.
No, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. One more thing. You talked about Bieniemy. The Washington Commanders decided to hire Dan Quinn. Did we not see what happened to the Cowboys in their last playoff game?
Good luck and God bless.
Did he even win the Super Bowl when he was in it?
Nope.
So let me get this straight. He was the head coach. He had Kyle Shanahan, and his defense couldn't hold. Don't give me that Shanahan, which he did, make bad play call in the second half. Your defense couldn't hold a 25-point lead. And the last time you were defensive coordinator, you let a rookie quarterback, a young quarterback, and a rookie team come in there and mollywop you 41-16. Yes, it was 48-32 or whatever, but let's just be honest, that was garbage points. So you got mollywopped, and you're now going to go to Washington and change the game. Meanwhile, Eric Bieniemy was going to go back over there and help Patrick Mahomes win the Super Bowl.
What did I say? I said the winners want Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
But all I keep hearing is Deshaun, the other dude, Deshaun McCoy, oh, he rubs players the wrong way. This is why he ain't got no head coach. Okay, well, he's going to go back over there and win Super Bowls. So salute to the winners for recognizing Eric Bieniemy and not blackballing him. It's a guarantee when he get back over there, they're going to win another Super Bowl.
Yep.
Next topic before we get out the NFL. One of the biggest storylines was the halftime show. And no, it wasn't Jermaine Dupri socks with him dressing like a Oompa Loompa. No, it wasn't Usher dancing around. It was, they brought the HBCU, Jackson State Sonic Boom of the South, with the Noops, the fraternity, and spotlighted them in the halftime show.
Salute to that.
So with that context that I just gave you, with the NFL allowing Jackson State Sonic, let me get it correct because I don't want people to kill me in the comics. For them bringing Jackson State band, the Sonic Boom of the South, along with the Noops to perform at the halftime show, what did that do for HBCUs?
That was big, very big. That was super big. That was probably the best push / promo you could do for HBCU. That was big, man.
During Black History Month.
Yeah, that was
You
big.
start to think, why didn't they do this before? Because it's always in February.
Yeah.
It's always Black History Month.
Yeah.
And now we finally got an HBCU band, Jackson State Sonic Boom of the South.
Probably because Rock Nation's running the show. You know what I mean?
Maybe that was a Jay-Z pull.
Yeah. You should pull the looking at what's going on with independent black creators that's getting blackballed from the football NFL media. But go ahead, I'm sorry. I just wanted to put that on film.
I hear you. What I liked is they put a press release out. They put a press release out on Twitter, you know, thanking the NFL, thanking Apple, and thanking everybody involved for bringing them out. If you read it and you go all the way to the bottom, they advertise a way to donate to the HBCUs.
Really?
Which I thought was ill. You guys can find the graphic on Twitter. It's being promoted. All you got to do is search, you know, Sonic Boom of the South, and you'll see a nice graphic. And at the bottom of it is saying, hey, this is a way to donate to our school. Again, that's I never saw nothing like that representing from the HBCU. So, and saying that, God damn, they finally got it right.
Yeah.
We always complain about the halftime show, what they could have did better. But you did something in Black History Month for HBCUs, and I don't have no complaints about it. Hopefully this pushes more.
Yeah.
Because we just had you okay, my brother?
Yeah, and ever since it went down the wrong pipe, you know what I'm saying?
We just had the Classic in New Jersey for basketball, which was a big push from Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, the NFL partners with, not partners, but brings out Jackson State Sonic Boom of the South.
Yeah.
Chef kiss for HBCUs, man.
Yeah. A lot more we talk about the halftime show. I'm going to leave it alone, though, because you're going to tell me to.
Hell no, man. You didn't see that? That's how them girls be with their work husbands, man. That's yo, you know, Kiki Palmer boyfriend was like, I told y'all, I told y'all he was getting too friendly.
I know he's thinking about that.
You thought I was gonna lay off on that?
Yeah, no, I thought you was. I thought you was gonna let that go. Yeah,
let it go.
Yeah,
we got 2 minutes on it. Kiki Palmer boyfriend is pointing at the TV like, I told y'all. Y'all see him grinding on Alicia Keys? Shout out to Swiss Beats. He was cool about it. You know, he brushed it off like, yo, y'all reading too much into that. It's just a song. But it just makes you wonder.
Yep. Facts. No way. Well, he probably was there.
Yeah.
So he, you know.
Swiss ain't tripping, man.
So like, wherever you trying to be funny on stage, you ain't going home nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Swiss
right
ain't
here.
being funny about that, man.
Yeah. I know you don't want to bear Jermaine Dupri, but
you thought I was gonna let that go.
I thought you was. I so thought you was. Yo, Jermaine Dupri look crazy. That's what I'm gonna say about that.
I comment. I don't know what he was wearing. Did that represent the South?
Can I
that
say
represent
something?
How Atlanta dressed?
Can I say something?
Ahead.
I know we're in a new era where we can't really talk about certain things because it's cancel culture. Let me say this without offending anybody, especially with black men. For black men, we have to start taking seriously how we're looked at and represented. And for that to be seen on stage, on the biggest stage in the NFL, there's no way you walked around and people.
You know
in your
why
camp
it had a name brand on it? I think it was. I'm saying why these celebrities say, "Oh, look at this Gucci thing," but it looks weird. Did you see what 50 Cent did? He was talking about why he wears a white beater over luxury brands.
Right.
He pretty much said, you know, as a celebrity, you know, we hustle to get that, so we want to show it off. He said, but it starts not making sense. He said, you see me with this white T-shirt on, I'm making a statement how clean I am, because that's why people wear white T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, just because it has Gucci attached or Louis or whatever the luxury brand is, don't mean it look right on you.
Yeah.
Some of y'all look goofy with that shit on.
And it looks, let me say this. Let me just say what I'm going to say, but I know how to say it, so we don't, you know, a person, I don't care what, I'm never scared of trouble. But the point I'm making is they try to demasculate the black man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that one more time, so it's a jewel that I'm dropping right now. They try to demasculate the black man. I want black males, especially artists, young black boys, if you listen to this podcast, young black women or black women that have young black boys, when you see something like that, it's emasculating the black male. I'm going to say that one more time. Anybody that allows themselves to be demasculated like that, just look and pay attention. Now, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just telling you how that looked. That was emasculating.
Masculine or non-masculine? I looked on Twitter. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Forget the masculine and demasculine argument. It just looked goofy.
It did.
It looked like, oh, this cost me $10,000, so I'm about to stunt with it on. And it was like,
let me tell you something. You know what's funny? Let me put this all into one shot. I never forgot Pharrell. He wore like these boots, and it looked so goofballish and so unmanly. And I was like, what are you doing? But you over here in the culture with us, and this is where you got your money and got recognized. What you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? And you need to be called out. And, you know, people act like they don't see it. See, that's the problem. It's like what MOP said. Like, we'll punch you in your face. Like, Drake, back in the day, he tried to run around. I knew where they were going with it because they made an opinion. They said, like, with his music, if he tried to run around like that, he got mollywopped in the hood. They'd have got him. Because you trying to play tough when you singing. Like, oh, when I see you, when you see me, you over here singing and you was over here in Degrassi High, man. You want me to tear your ass alive? Do you understand what I'll do to you? I'm not calling no cops. Are you out your mind? You know what I'll do to you? Because you hanging with it, because of who you affiliated with, let me not even start with that. Do you know what I'll do to you? Do you understand what'll happen to you?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna come and save you. You're in a protected world. So I guess the point I'm making is just when I'm listening is like, what are you doing? You ain't walking in Atlanta in certain areas looking like that. What's wrong with you, man? And that's how you gonna represent our culture? Must be out your damn mind. And ain't nobody gonna say nothing because, you know, it's a certain brand. Yeah, all right, dumb. The brand that don't never get back to the community and are so blatant.
Why do you think I said this wasn't? I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the argument wasn't the masculine or feminine or whatever. I hear it.
Yeah.
The brand you're rocking don't fuck with us.
Facts.
I'll come out and say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you spent $10,000 on those goofy socks that you was wearing, Jermaine Dupri.
Oh my God.
Them socks look horrid. The suit, you look like a fake, what's them things called? The dudes in the orchestra?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
He looked like
I don't know what.
One of them orchestra dudes. and off label. So yeah, you probably spent $20,000 on that suit. It looked ridiculous. And I know the comment's gonna say he's 10 times richer than you. Congratulations, you should hire a stylist.
Yeah, that was horrible on the biggest stage.
Shout out to Jermane Dupri. We still like your music, but for culture-wise, that was a no-no.
Very much so.
We're gonna end this off. We got some more for the next podcast that we miss. You go ahead.
I want to drop one jewel. So this weekend, because we were both doing things. So this weekend, I want to tell you what I acknowledged. Shouts out to the Siena women's basketball team. I hope you make this as a clip. Shouts out to Nija Brown. Shouts out to, I think I'm saying her name right, Nija Brown. Shouts out to Baby Jackson. Not all their names I know, but shouts out to the whole Siena women's basketball team. Shouts out to Coach Jaber. I want to say this real quick, and I'm going to give like 60 seconds to do it. Shouts out to them because I remember that culture before he got there. And it was nothing of what the players were doing, and it was nothing on what the majority of that staff was doing. It was a person, an individual that was the most despicable, disgusting, degrading representation of a person, period, that was the head of that team. And I am so glad that they got that degenerate, negative black energy out of there. So just to see what I'm seeing from that team now, to see how they progressed, to see how they moved. They're in second place right now, and they're competing to try to win a championship. And the atmosphere is different. There's more people in the stands. It's more positive. It's competitive, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's all I wanted to say. I will say all y'all names in the next podcast. But I need that as a clip because I don't think people understood what we saw prior to that.
4 years ago, 5 years ago,
yeah. Salute. So salute. I'm glad they got that bag of trash out of there. And I don't care how it sounds. That's what that was. Because what they were doing was disrespecting people, specifically people of color. Let me make that clear. While they up there on they social media talking about Black Lives Matter, but disrespecting the only black face that's in there. Just want to leave that out there. I told you we not keeping quiet no more. Go ahead.
Our last topic before we close this up. Want to talk 2 topics on women's basketball. We can't do it all, so we're going to have to come back and discuss it all.
Okay.
But first, I'm going to talk about the off season for the W, as in the WNBA.
Yes.
Because we've been following them since 2011. So one of the stories in the W, and there's multiple, was the off season acquisition of the Seattle Storm.
Yes.
They didn't put together a big 3. The Seattle Storm put together a big 4.
Okay.
So they paired Skylar Diggins-Smith there, and I want to pronounce her name right because it's Nigerian, Neke Ogumike.
Yeah.
With who else is in the backcourt? Jewel Lloyd,
yeah.
So they got a nice big. What they did over there. It's looking crazy. What is your thoughts on the big 4 for the Seattle Storm?
I think this is gonna be an upgrade because Seattle was I think in the bottom. They were at the bottom in the conference. I think it's a great look. I think they're going to be okay. I think this is an upgrade because I think in those shots at the players that was there, I just don't think it fit. I think with Jewel Lloyd, remember her and Skylar Diggins used to play together. So now you're getting a ill court, ill assistance, and now you got a Woman K sister, one of them there. So you now have some production. It looked like from when we saw Seattle, it didn't look good. It looked like Lloyd was gonna go off, and then maybe I forgot who they drafted. There's another person they drafted out of there, but it didn't. It's not working. Like they're trying to win now, and I think that they made the right moves to take the next step. Do I think they'll be in the finals next year? We'll see. I don't. That would be a very big mountaintop to move, but I do think they'll be in the playoffs. They'll be in the hunt.
And let me be correct, because right now they're considered a big 3. So my bad. I'll correct myself. The Seattle Storm with the big 3. That outside of what the Atlanta Dream is doing, we'll talk about the Atlanta Dream on the next podcast. But I think the Seattle Storm and Atlanta Dream made the biggest moves in the offseason right now. Now things could change. My prediction is If I had to say, the Seattle Storm is going to do some damage in the playoffs. Because how do you stop that backcourt, that Notre Dame backcourt with Jewel Lloyd and Skylar Diggins-Smith?
That's a good question.
Any given night, Jewel Lloyd and Skylar Diggins-Smith can drop 25 apiece and put up 50 points in a high-power offense.
Yeah.
And they're veterans.
Yeah.
They're not some young bucks.
No, they're not.
They're veterans that know the game. And I want to also salute the Seattle Storm for giving Skylar Diggins-Smith a chance after what she went through with the Phoenix Mercury. Yeah. Because they were trying to blackball her through the media and try to make her look like the angry black woman.
Yeah.
Salute to Skylar Diggins-Smith for not letting that affect her while she was pregnant, because she was going through that while she was pregnant and the media was turning on her. And what the Phoenix Mercury organization and the coach did to Skylar Diggins-Smith was foul. So I'm happy she overcame that.
Yeah, that's a mess.
That's a mess. I'm happy she overcame that. Salute to her for doing everything she did for that organization while pregnant and bouncing back the way she did. Yeah. But Skylar Diggins-Smith and Jewel Lloyd is going to be a problem in the backcourt for any team. And then you add on the veteran, I want to pronounce her name correctly, Neke Ogumike, who can give you anywhere from 15 to 20 points on any given night. I don't see how most teams is going to stop that. Like I said, the only other team that I see, obviously the champs, the Las Vegas Aces, but what Atlanta Dream did. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting season for the W. We're big fans of the WNBA.
Facts.
And I'm ready for the season to start.
I am too.
Last topic. So this has to do a little bit with sneaker culture and women's basketball within college. So if you haven't heard, a player by the name of Kiki Rice is the first female athlete under the Jordan brand to release a signature shoe. What do you think this does for women's basketball with having her release a signature shoe under the Jordan brand? Because there's a lot of women athletes, even more notably, Angel Reese with a Reebok who signed, but we're not seeing many signature shoes come out. So with her getting a signature shoe with the Jordan brand, I want to believe it's called the Cherry Blossoms. What does that do for women's basketball?
It's big for the game. I think that it's more than. See, the thing is like you see the girls and they're kind of backing them, but I think the more promotion and marketing and branding they do, the bigger the game will get. I don't think somebody else had a sneaker, but they're not really. I don't see commercials. I don't see imaging. I don't see promotion or marketing. I don't really see it. So,
not to cut you off, to speak to that, when I went to, I'm not going to say where I work at, but somewhere in New York City, and I went there on my lunch after work, and I went to Midtown Manhattan because I was about to catch the bus, and I saw the billboard with Angel Reese and the Reebok. I'm like, yo, this is the first time that I'm personally seeing a big billboard in Manhattan. Right. Of a college woman athlete in a major sneaker brand, but go ahead.
Right. No, oh my God, I was gonna say it's just a big movement, a big step. I think that because the female athletes are always talking about they want to kind of have their own thing, which I'm all for it, but you can't. And we'll have that conversation on time. Let me just say this: they always want to separate themselves and say, yo, we want our own representation. And they're right for that. And I'm with them 1,000%. So I think by them having their own sneaker brand, it shows another female athlete, hey, look, this is what you can do. This is what you can get. It's more than just the clothes. It's got to be the sneakers too. You know, because Jordan brand is what it is. And I mean, every in the men's, they all got the sneakers. But I think for right now, you know what they should do? They need to just take Nike or Adidas. I think mostly everybody wears Nikes, but for basketball. But whether you do or not, like Nike or Converse, they need to just get a group of them and promote and push them to say, yo, this is the official sneaker of, WNBA. You know what I'm saying? Or official sneaker for a certain, and take some of the top players and do that. When they do that, that's how you know. But for right now, this is a great step. I keep saying imaging is everything. That's why I'm on Jermane Dupri about his clownish suit. Go ahead.
I think this is huge because there's a lot of star athletes, especially with the rise of social media and NIL that's being promoted within women's basketball, who are freshmen.
Yeah.
We all know about the upperclassmen. We all know about the Caitlin Clark, the Angel Reeses, and so forth. There are a lot of freshmen dropping 50 points. Shout out to Juju Watkins from USC.
Yeah.
She's averaging 38 points as a freshman.
Right.
I'm going to say that again. The freshman from USC, Juju Watts, is averaging 38 points over the last 5 games. Then you have the freshman from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Let me get her name up. Give me a second because I want to get her name correct.
I know you're talking about
Malaysia.
Tall, right?
Yeah. Malaysia, the guard from South Carolina.
Yeah, she's
Fuwali.
Problem. Yeah.
Forgive me if I mispronounce your name, but Malaysia Fuwali. There is so many stars in college basketball on the women's side. It's crazy. So now with Kiki Rice releasing a signature shoe with Jordan, this opens the door for all of them. You don't think the young girls want to wear the new Jujus?
Yeah.
That's a cute name. My daughter's named Juju. You know my daughter.
Right.
You know, they can have spin-offs of Nike. They can really market and brand all these college athletes. This girl's averaging 38 points over the last 5 games. You see South Carolina with Dawn Staley. Yeah. That's star power. She's a freshman. Yeah. She's out there looking like I don't want to say Magic Johnson because they get offended. Yeah. But like Maya Moorish as a freshman. So I want to see more women athletes in the game of college basketball get brand deals, get paid, and get their signature shoe. And I hope that Reebok doesn't drop the ball with Angel Reese. We need to see that Angel Reese signature shoe before she's drafted. Maybe that's the rollout. I don't know. Yeah. But hopefully this pushes Reebok to really release that signature shoe. Yeah. Got anything else you want to add?
No, I agree with you 1,000% on that. They need to start pushing it out there. We need to see it more than just hear it. You know what I mean?
Salute to all the women athletes in college basketball. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of star power. Please tune in and support. Their numbers are up. It's a great product. Yeah. And they really doing damage. And watch out for the W because that's about to start in a few months.
Yeah, facts.
Got anything else you want to add to the pod?
Nah, man. I just, I said what I had to say that last part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in another time. Trust me, I got a lot to say about that because I don't think we've really talked about. I'm trying to think about back then, but we'll talk about it.
Gotcha. So appreciate everybody that tuned in, whether it's one person or whether it's 1,000 people. Yeah. And we hope you like this bliggity Black History Month edition.
Yeah, facts.
Because this was very representative of the culture, especially for this month.
Yeah, most definitely.
Let me leave off on this. Over the weekend in upstate New York, Katt Williams came to town, and he brought his Dark Matter tour. Since we're talking about Black History Month and Black Unity before we close out. Obviously, people saw the Katt Williams podcast with Club Shay Shay broke the internet. It got more numbers than Joe Rogan. I don't think people understand what Katt Williams is doing outside the internet. Because everything that he talked about, I saw personally when he came to Albany for that concert. The people he brought on his tour, you would think that the industry turned their back on him. He had Little Mo performing. He brought out Monique. He brought out Tommy Davidson. He brought out Mark Curry. These is people that we don't see in mainstream Hollywood no more that he's bringing around the country on his 100-date city tour. And everybody, the opening act, when the opening act has you in stitches, you know it's going to be a good show. Yeah. Because usually the opening act is like, Yeah. The opening act for Katt Williams' Dark Matter City tour had us in stitches. So I just want to say, watching what Katt Williams said, because it's one thing when somebody says something on the internet and you got to see how they move in real life. So watching what he said on Club Shay Shay and watching him implement it in real life, I wish more people would move like Katt Williams.
Facts.
I wish more people would pull the people that the industry acting like they don't mess with no more, say, you ain't got to worry about them. Come over here and get money with us.
We good.
Yeah. He's still rocking with Red Grant from Washington, D.C. He's been rocking with that man for over 20 years. Ain't never changed up on him. So salute to Katt Williams and every comic on that Dark Matter City tour. He had a lady named Katt Williams. Everybody was dope. So I just wanted to say that ending this podcast off. Got anything else?
No, you know,
well,
yeah.
Let's close out. Salute to everybody tuned in. You're watching the Enveonline Podcast. Hope you're enjoying your Black History Month. And until next time, God bless.
One.